seems to me that we keep consistently somehow underestimating the challenge that we're faced with. And everything conspires to assist us in that. So we're so inured to the news reports that come through telling us of how bad things are, that we to some extent switch off. You mount a campaign, you gather your resources, you roll out that campaign. You win a few little battles and ultimately you lose. You fall back. You gather your resources, you mount a campaign, you win a few little battles, ultimately you lose, you fall back. You gather your resources, you mount a campaign, you win a few little battles, ultimately you lose, and you fall back. And as I was speaking, people began weeping in that audience, because this is their truth. But it's not just their truth, it's our truth. And though we can sit here in this most beautiful setting, held in this lovely and gentle vision of Neroche, the fact is, this is what is happening outside and all around us, and even here. I was in Kenya again, because for some reason I've been going there quite often recently, but I was there just a few weeks ago. Food prices are just going like this. Week in, week out. The exchange rate is shifting all the time. When I was there, the pound was about 140 Kenyan shillings. It's now 160 or 80. And all the time, what this means is that so many people in fragile circumstances are moving into the slums. At the same time, we have the Somalis pouring in through the northern border, and we have food trucks organised by the UN being diverted back into the markets of Nairobi and being flogged by profiteers. We have a land that is so parched for water that every year it gets worse and worse and worse. We must surely have our heads in the sand if we imagine that we're not going to witness quite extraordinary levels of human suffering unfolding and rolling and around us in our future. So I'm speaking to you like this, you see, because I feel that this project, this that we're witnessing and enjoying today, and all the extraordinary work that so many of you are involved in, I feel the day is past then it can be about conservation, or it's about woodland, or it's about any of these sorts of things. It's not. It's about our earth. It's about our people. It's about our children. It's about everything that makes life worth living. And we need, I feel, to begin to describe and talk about these things in a different way. It's a privilege to come along and meet you and speak with you. And one of the things that I realized as I mingled and listened in, I thought, here's a group of people, many of whom have enormous amounts of knowledge, and knowledge in all kinds of different places, knowledge of how institutions work, the politics of this, knowledge of how you can work with the system to get things. Other types of people who are different. Now, we have in this room people who are retired. We have people who, let's say, are in some particular role or job. We perhaps have some unemployed. We have whatever, whoever, however society describes us. But there isn't a single person in this room that could not be a leader. And what does that mean? Because we describe that at Embercombe as someone who's brave enough to act on what they know to be true. Because most of us don't. We are bystanders. We are observers. We prefer to seek security, safety, and solace in that horrible place of almost complete passivity and victimhood. I take a position really of just saying, listen, this life I'm leading. So it's more important for me to say, what am I going to do in this next hour tomorrow? Can I live this? And I think that probably in any case that is more powerful than any speech or talk. Answer the call that has been thrown at your feet. It is that we have lost, have let go, or had taken from us some of the things that are the most valuable that make life worth living. And we are called now to claim it back. It means that if you're in an organisation like the National Trust, using every bit of wit and skill and experience, intelligence and everything that life has given you, you get in there and you fight the battles as tough and for as long as it takes to change what needs to be changed. You are participating in the writing of a new story for our society that might be the story that brings us back together and creates a place for everybody. But you're going to be called to be brave. You have to be brave and step into the middle. Wherever the fire is hottest, that's where you go. And there is no retirement until the day comes that you suddenly croak and slap down on the ground. Then we could say it's over. I think once people also realize at some deeper level that by some amazing chance of fortune they've been born at a time when it actually matters what they do, you know, that they could be, as Polly Higgins was speaking about, you know, take what they've got and take it to the nth degree, is just an expression of who they are, because we are all this sort of bundle of potential. But unless we lift our actions to somehow match that potential, unless we feel into the vision of who we could be, then it stays potential and dies with us. So I'll finish by honouring a guy called Joey, who is central at Embercombe. Joey's pretty much the first volunteer I ever got at Embercombe. And when I first saw Joey, to give you a sense of what he looks like, somebody once said of Joey that when the Romans arrived underneath the white cliffs of Dover and looked up at the cliff and saw an ancient Britain, it looked remarkably like Joey. Okay. He is tattooed from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. Tattooed on his gums, which he inflicted on himself with a nail in prison. Here's a guy who's just like story is pretty extreme in our society. And Joey came to me near the beginning times of Embercombe and he said, I like what you're doing here, Mac. I said, good, I'm very glad to hear that, Joey. I take that as a real compliment. He said, yes, I'd like to support you. I said, good. What can you offer? He said, all my weekends and annual leave. Oof, wow, that's something. And he did for 7 years. All his weekends and all his annual leave. Joey is there. We arrive at my house. I've locked myself out. I said, Joey, I can't get in the house. He said, turn away. I turned away. 2 or 3 seconds. It's open. How do you do that? He said, secrets of the trade. He said, old skills coming in handy. When people get locked out of their cars in the car park, Joey trundles along there. He's a big bloke. He's into that car. If I had the most precious thing to me, whatever it was, I would give it to Joey and he would guard it to the death, because he's a most ethical man of utmost integrity. He's earned it. He's a beautiful soul. We get every now and then some gorgeously, I don't know how to do it, dressed dowager arriving at Embercombe, middle-aged lady, affluence just rippling off her, privileged person. Joey stands there. Up she comes. And then you can't separate them. Wherever Joey goes, you see her. She's going along behind. The school kids, the most privileged kind, love to spend time with Joey. They've never met somebody like this. The business people, they love spending time with Joey. It's just because his heart is big and it's open and he doesn't give a toss what anybody thinks. And that's where we need to be, I would suggest. We need everybody, a full circle, all of us, and then we can have a tremendous party. Thank you very much. So now I feel like I've just got to keep seeing all these things through. And in the end, it is that cliche of making yourself irrelevant. That time will come. And then there is that just extraordinary feeling, probably, of knowing that you have successfully played your role and done it to a point where something has a sustaining power and can continue. And then, well, I said there is no retirement. Maybe there is a point where you actually get the deck chair out and sit there and enjoy watching, and you just tell stories.